This strange story began one day when Dr. Jang, head of the parasitology department at the Central Hospital, stood absently before a wall covered densely with sticky notes. Humanity across the world was being parasitized by a strange organism. When parasitizing a human body, they would voice the host's thoughts aloud. Dr. Jang was responsible for finding a cure for this affliction. He had jotted down the words the vocal parasite had spoken while attached to his own body, hoping to find a clue to destroy them. Dr. Jang stared intently at one note, bearing the words he had written in a moment of desperation when he couldn't find a cure. Perhaps we really are out of options. Rewinding time 3 months earlier to when these strange events began to occur. A normal morning at the Central Hospital. In the consultation room, doctors were meeting to devise a treatment plan for a patient with a lung infection. Dr. Jang held a stack of medical records, reading the patient's condition and proposed treatment in a steady voice. Dao, a young doctor newly assigned to the hospital, was present. The meeting had already lasted over an hour, leaving him somewhat bored and tired. Thinking everyone was focused on the projector screen, he stealthily opened his mouth for a wide yawn. However, his wide-mouthed yawn caught the eye of Yao, the female deputy head of the department. Yao frowned, showing disapproval of Dao's action, but she only glanced briefly without saying anything before turning her attention back to the screen. While the entire room was focused on Dr. Jang's presentation, suddenly a voice echoed out of thin air. "Every time we have a meeting, it never ends. Damn it, this is so annoying." Everyone was startled upon hearing those words of discontent. Although it wasn't clear whose voice it was, all eyes now turned towards Dao as it came from his direction. That voice continued relentlessly. What lunatic dares to confront the department head like that? Why is everyone looking at me? Indeed, these sounds emanated from Dr. Dao's vicinity. Then another voice spoke up. That sounds like Tao's voice, but this time it came from Dr. Yao's direction, startling her. Under the scrutinizing gazes of everyone, Dao felt extremely flustered. It was true he had thought those things, but he wasn't foolish enough to say them out loud. Dao repeatedly tried to explain himself, but perhaps no one believed him. No matter how Dao explained, everyone present had heard his voice. Head Jang gave Dao a stern look, then asked him to leave the meeting room. Dao broke out in a cold sweat, his face clearly showing his bewilderment. He felt partly wronged, but also partly doubtful, as even he recognized the voice sounded exactly like his own. Only when Head Jang reminded him again, sternly asking him to leave once more, did Dao stand up and dejectedly walk towards the door, exiting the meeting room under the sympathetic gazes of the others. When the door closed, the atmosphere in the meeting room returned to silence. Dr. Zhang glanced around, waited for everyone to settle, and then resumed the meeting. The meeting ran 15 minutes longer than planned. After it concluded, everyone stood up to return to their shifts. Doctor. Jang quickly gathered his documents. He had a case of enteritis treatment scheduled for the early afternoon. After everyone else had left, Dr. Yao approached Jang. She wanted to talk about the incident involving Dr. Dao because she felt something wasn't right, something very strange about it. With the doctor's keen intuition, she told Head Jang that because she sat opposite Dao, she had observed almost all his actions, and she firmly asserted that she couldn't have been mistaken. When the voice first rang out, she saw Dr. Tao yawn, and at that exact moment he was just sitting there yawning widely, not saying a single word. Although the voice was indeed his, he was not the one who spoke. Head Jang looked at the beautiful female doctor and smiled. He told her he wasn't foolish enough not to recognize whose voice it was. Besides, he wasn't the only one who thought so, unfairly blaming Tao. Many others in the room had recognized it too. Head Jang even teased, half joking, half serious, that perhaps Dr. Yao was defending Tao too much. Maybe she had feelings for him. This remark angered Dr. Yao. She snapped back. "If you don't believe me, don't make things up like that." Okay, forget it." Head Jang laughed it off. Why react so strongly? Anyway, deep down he was secretly glad his teasing remark wasn't true. Dr. Yao turned her back and left in a huff. She also wished she had been mistaken. After all, Dao's business had nothing to do with her. "She's so cute." A deep voice suddenly echoed in the air as Head Jang watched Dr. Yao's retreating figure. The familiar sound startled him. It sounded very close, as if he himself had spoken it. Unbeknownst to him, vein-like tendrils had secretly appeared on Dr. Jang's neck, snaking under the skin like creeping blood vessels. They resembled a living organism silently invading his body. Dr. Jang still hadn't grasped what was happening. He still thought someone was teasing him. He glanced around. The small meeting room moments ago filled with people was now empty. The last person to leave was Dr. Yao. The door was firmly closed. He was completely alone. Dr. Jang broke out in a sweat. He picked up the file folder, tucked it under his arm and stood up. He knew the words that had just echoed were precisely the thoughts in his mind. However, those were thoughts he kept hidden and had never spoken aloud. He thought perhaps he was just tired from overworking and had misheard. Maybe he needed some rest before shift. Thinking this, he felt slightly reassured. Dr. Jang walked out of the meeting room, closed the door, not forgetting to switch off the light. At this moment, no one had yet discovered that a parasitic organism was creeping into the hospital. Head Jang and Dr. Yao had both studied at the City Medical University. After graduation, they were assigned to the Central Hospital, working together in the parasitology department. After some time, he was appointed head of department, and Yao became deputy head. Dr. Jang had secretly admired Yao for a long time. On her birthday last year, he had brought her a large bouquet of roses. But at that time, Yao had just smiled dismissively and refused him. Because of Yao's attitude then, coupled with his shyness, Dr. Jang hadn't yet dared to confess his feelings. Their relationship had remained ambiguous like that for the whole year. Time flew quickly to the afternoon of that same day at the Central Hospital. Dr. Jang had just finished treating a patient with intestinal parasites. After a long day's work, he returned to the doctor's lounge. Hanging his white coat on the chair, he absently wondered, "I wonder if Dr. Yao is free tonight. I wonder if Dr. Yao is free tonight." Realizing his own voice was echoing, Dr. Jang was stunned and shocked. He was certain the voice was emanating from his chest area. Simultaneously, he realized strange changes were occurring in his body. Vein-like tendrils resembling tree roots were lengthening, attempting to spread across Dr. Jang's face, causing him immense panic. Below his neck, the tendrils looked clearer and more sinewy. Dr. Jang hastily fumbled with the buttons of his shirt, a sense of dread rising within him. When the shirt flew open, a sight unfolded that would horrify even someone like Dr. Jang, who had encountered numerous parasitic diseases. A giant spore covered in countless tiny speaker-like pores, orifices. From these, small living tentacle-like branches radiated out in a spiral pattern, spreading across his chest, neck, shoulders, and up towards his face. Dr. Jang stood before the mirror to observe them more closely. As a doctor with many years of experience, This was the first time he had encountered something so bizarre and terrifying. Its tentacles were still showing tendencies to spread to other parts of his body. "Head Jang?" A stammering, broken voice sounded from behind Dr. Jang. It seemed someone had seen everything. Dr. Jang immediately turned around, asking, "Who's there?" He feared that if someone discovered him infected with this strange parasite now, it certainly wouldn't be a good thing. He met the stunned gaze of Dr. Dao, who was staring intently at him. After the incident that morning, the two felt quite awkward encountering each other in this situation. Jang thought Dr. Dao would be horrified seeing him like this. However, Dao showed no signs of panic as Jang had expected. He reached up, touching his own chest, as if wanting to say something. Then Dao looked up at Dr. Jang. A voice emanated from his chest. "Head Jang, you're infected too?" Dao broke into a sweat. Perhaps he shouldn't hide it any longer. He looked down, his hands fumbling with his shirt buttons, hastily undoing them. Then he flung his shirt open. Indeed, Dao was also infected, exactly like Dr. Jang. However, his was less severe. The parasite's tendrils on Dao had only invaded his chest area, not yet spread as widely as Jang's. Central Hospital, 8 p.m. The hospital windows were always lit. However, only a few knew that a monstrous organism was slowly invading humanity. After discovering the strange parasite, He Jang and Dr. Tao went outside together to investigate. They walked together and made some initial assessments. Many questions were raised by the two. Where did it come from? What harm does it cause? How does it spread? Most questions remained unanswered. However, Dr. Dao guessed it had the ability to read the host's thoughts and speak them aloud. He Jang agreed with Dao's assessment. He pondered deeply. A life form that caused no physical pain but could throw society into chaos by voicing everyone's innermost thoughts. While Jang was still lost in speculation, Dr. Tao looked ahead and made a shocking discovery. Perhaps they weren't the only ones infected. Ahead, two patients were arguing. One looked furious, asking the other what he had just said, while the other repeatedly denied saying anything. Despite denying he said anything, the other man's voice suddenly rang out, startling him. "I said idiot, you idiot!" At this, the first man truly flew into a rage. He lunged forward, grabbing the other man's shirt, intending to teach him a lesson for his insolence. Just as the scuffle began, Dao and Jang immediately rushed over to intervene. Suddenly, a piercing scream erupted from Dr. Yao's office, making everyone stop in their tracks. It seemed something serious had happened to her. Without hesitation, a worried Jang immediately ran towards Dr. Yao's room. Without waiting for permission, he burst through her door, asking frantically, "What happened?" Dr. Yao was sitting at her desk, tears streaming down her face. On the desk lay a lipstick and a small mirror. It seemed she had just been about to touch up her makeup. Everything appeared deceptively normal. Dr. Dao, concerned, advised her to calm down and tell them what was happening. He vaguely suspected she too was infected, but silently hoped his guess was wrong. Yao kept her face buried in her hands, tears falling relentlessly. Although she verbally insisted nothing was wrong and asked them to leave, her thoughts betrayed her. "What's happening to me? I look hideous." The thoughts voiced aloud proved she was lying. As Yao slowly lowered her hands from her face, a sight so horrific unfolded that even Dr. Dao couldn't help but cover his mouth. He Jang was equally stunned. Yao was infected with a vocal parasite. However, her condition was extremely severe, much worse than either of them. or the patient in the hallway earlier. The root-like tendrils had invaded almost her entire face. She looked at Jang, her eyes filled with panic mixed with helplessness. She kept pleading with Jang for help, although deep down she knew it was impossible. The above events happened 3 months ago. Returning to the present, Dr. Jang was in his office, tightly clutching the note Yao had written. "Perhaps we really are out of options." The words reflected Yao's deep despair. Head Jang had spent 3 months in this research lab trying to find a cure. Since this parasite didn't cause physical effects on the body, simply voicing people's thoughts, he figured he needed to start from there. After appearing on the speakers on human bodies, within just 3 months, human society underwent drastic changes. All curses aimed at others or hypocritical lies were publicly broadcast by it. No one could keep their secrets anymore. When innermost thoughts were revealed, it didn't bring positive reactions. Instead, people grew angry, resentful, ready to resort to violence against those thinking ill of them. Deceit and secrets ceased to exist. Yet, instead of living truthfully with each other, people chose to limit social interaction. They grew increasingly lonely. To avoid revealing their inner thoughts, everyone chose to stay indoors, cutting off direct contact with the outside world, communicating only through messages. Faced with the truth, people chose silence. Head Jang clenched the notes. For 3 months, he had tried numerous medical and microbiological methods without finding a cure. But today, standing before the notes, which were also his own secret thoughts, he felt he finally had the answer. Dusk settled. Gone were the bustling scenes of people leaving work or school. Now the entire city sank into silence like a ghost town. Dr. Yao lay on her bed. She had locked herself in her room and cried ever since discovering her infection. Yao's condition was worse than others. The parasitic vocal nodes covered her body, face, legs, arms, plunging her into a state of helplessness bordering on mental exhaustion. The doorbell rang, startling her awake. No one had visited her in 3 months. Yao wondered absently who could be visiting her now. Yao got up and walked towards the door. "Might as well see who it is," she mumbled. Pushing the door slightly open, Yao was utterly surprised to see Head Jang standing before her. Tears immediately streamed down Yao's face. She felt extremely self-conscious about her current appearance, especially in front of Head Jang, someone special to her. Yao tried to close the door, refusing to see him. However, Jang quickly blocked it with his hand. Yao's face darkened. She looked hideous now. She didn't want to see anyone, especially Dr. Jang. Trying to stop the falling tears, Yao asked Jang to leave. Faced with Yao's firm refusal, Dr. Jang resolutely persuaded her to trust him. He confidently asserted that he had found a way to eliminate these hideous vocal parasites. Hearing this, a spark of hope ignited in Yao's heart. Her eyes lit up. She had always trusted Head Jang and was sure he would never deceive her. Yao agreed to go with Jang, and he led her to the rooftop of the apartment building where she lived. The shimmering golden light of the evening sun embraced every detail of the city, creating a scene of surreal beauty. Yao was skeptical. She had thought she would be treated in a lab, a place dedicated to studying microorganisms. Yao leaned against the rooftop door, hesitant, as if unwilling to face the light. A voice echoed from the vocal node on Yao. "I want to go back home." In the shimmering light, Jang offered a gentle smile. He told Yao that the cure was actually extremely simple, so simple it was almost laughable. Because this disease is born from deceit. The more you accumulate thoughts about others without daring to speak them, or the more you lie, the more they parasitize, Jang said confidently. So we just need to treat it with truthfulness. While Yao was still puzzling over Doctor Jang's words, not yet understanding what treating with truthfulness meant, he took out a stack of notes from his pocket, explaining that he had written down all his inner thoughts on them. Then he tossed the colorful notes into the air. They were the secret words he only dared to think, but never spoke. And the way to make these speakers of truth lose their reason for existence was precisely to speak the truth. As the notes fluttered down from the rooftop, Jang read them aloud, as if wanting everyone to hear his innermost thoughts. Being a doctor is too tiring. I don't want to work overtime anymore. The pressure is too great. Dr. Dao is so annoying. Jang hesitated slightly, then shouted loudly, I truly love Dr. Yao. I want to marry her. After the words from the bottom of his heart were exposed, the parasitic nodes on Dr. Jang's body gradually peeled off, carried away by the strong blowing wind. Under the sunlight, they no longer looked hideous, but resembled glittering golden petals. Dr. Jang turned back. See? Just speak it out, and they'll disappear on their own. He smiled and added, You try it. It's okay. You can even curse me. Dr. Yao's emotions were in turmoil. Her heart pounded after hearing Jang's heartfelt words. She trembled. This method really worked, but taking a deep breath, gathering all her courage, she screamed out the truthful words that were not easily spoken by an introverted girl. Avocados taste worse than shit. Head Jang is such an idiot. Why would you give me flowers in front of so many people? How could I possibly accept them? Yao continued without stopping, the parasitic patches gradually peeling off with her truthful words. Don't pursue me so intensely, Yao shouted loudly. I never said I didn't agree. Why can't you understand what I mean? You're unbelievably foolish. At the same time, on the rooftop of another building, Dr. Dao had also discovered how to get rid of the vocal parasites. Standing amidst the falling notes, he smiled, silently wishing Dr. Jang's success in his confession. Hearing Yao's confession, Dr. Jang was both surprised and deeply moved. In this moment, he didn't know what to do other than stand stunned, looking at the girl before him. Yao rushed towards the motionless Jang, wrapping her arms around his neck. Before Jang could react, Yao gently whispered in his ear that she liked him too. In this moment, everyone understood that the vocal parasite didn't entirely bring negativity to the world, because thanks to it, people found the courage to live truthfully with each other.